So, hey everyone, are you ready to get inspired? Hope so. One of the things that we will be doing this week, and hopefully as the course continues, is looking at other watercolor artists. I want you to go out for your assignment and find um, some different paintings from different watercolor artists that inspire you, the different ones that attract you. I think by looking at other people's art, we get a sense of sort of what we're drawn to and what you might want to be eventually creating. So it's a very useful thing. Hopefully you'll find some different paintings to be able to share with the group, and we will all be inspired by each other's finds. So let's get started. One of my very favorite watercolor artists is Turner. This is his Lake of Lucerne. And oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. You see those transparent layers of color. It's what watercolor is all about. Look at the blue showing and the gold behind it. Just layer after layer of color he's laid down. I went to his show of his work in New York, which was quite a few of his oil paintings, but then it had lots and lots of his watercolors. And the interesting thing was that there was this whole basket of magnifying glasses, and I really didn't know what that would be for. And it turns out I got one. I'm going around and looking up close at these watercolors. And why people really wanted to see them up close is because Turner would get his very whitest whites at the very end, not by saving that white space that we will learn about, but by scraping away the pigment with a knife. He would actually scratch out some fibers of paper, and you really wouldn't notice unless you looked at it with a microscope. But he would, a magnifying glass. Anyway, but that's how he would get his white whites, and it was just beautiful, just sensational to see. Another favorite is Winslow Homer. This one is called End of the Day. And notice on this one, I just love, it's very painterly. It's very much a watercolor. There's not a lot of detail in there. See how soft it is? And you still get that idea of what's going on. You still can, it captures the mood and the scene, the very dark darks and the light of the water. It's just a perfect composition. And I love it because of the fuzzy, ethereal quality. And another one of his, because I love him that much, is Girl on the Swing. And I thought this one was a really fun one, just having the green all around that figure of the girl and the opposite color. So it's opposite on the color wheel. We'll be learning a little bit about that. So that pink against the green, pinkish, reddish, orange, or whatever. So it stands out for sure. That choice is causing her to have even probably more movement. If she was just sitting down the center, it wouldn't be as exciting, but she's got this movement going, and then the leaves are sort of echoing it. And you see all the leaves and the little light white, light green shapes around there. Everything is these transparent layers. It gives this very depth of field. Just really lovely. And one last Winslow Homer for this time. This is Northeaster, which I don't know, since we live by the sea, I'm always drawn to any paintings of the ocean. And I love the way Winslow Homer captures those waves and that surf. Look at the patterns that he's created. Notice on the white all the different colors you can see in that. Almost like it's reflecting the sunlight with the pinks and the yellows. And then you go further back into those sort of darks and purples as they go back further. And then notice in the very foreground, that's the detailed part, the part that's closest to you. And as you go back, you lose detail, and that gives it that sense of space. So, onward. Georgia O'Keeffe, you generally don't think of her as a watercolor painter, but she did quite a few watercolors, especially when she was in New York. And this is Starlight Night, which I always look at and see a skyscraper, but maybe that was it. Maybe it was stars in some sort of abstract order. But that was probably her night sky out of a New York skyscraper window. This is another one of hers. So simple and so clean in a way. That's just a very, the shapes of the figures, you don't need a lot of detail. It's more in the gesture of the figure and kind of understanding and how it's framed with the rooftop and everything. And finally, John Singer Sargent. His watercolors are just phenomenal. I got to see them once in person, and oh, it was a huge collection of his watercolors. And he is so good at just laying down layers and layers of color and having that transparency come through. Look at the choices he made as far as the whites. See the purples in the white and the golds coming through, and how that really works together with that turquoise background that really sets that figure off. Not a lot of detail. There's a beautiful expression on the one figure for sure. But again, it's just very painterly, very ethereal, very soft. Just something really, really special about this one. Anyway, I sure hope that you are feeling inspired and you are going to be ready to dive in, right? Can't wait to see what paintings you bring to show the rest of us. We can all inspire each other with different works and set out to start doing some of our own. This is going to be fun.